I'm actually looking into Savannah Kulla's case, since this is what's breaking here in Canada in the last few days. And in reading, so I'm seeing here that the unaliver of Savannah, her ex, Anthony, was facing firearm related charges from September 2023 involving Savannah as the victim back then. And I don't know the backstory. I'm not going to theorize or anything like that. I'm just reading what I'm reading. It says here, court documents obtained by CTV News Toronto confirmed that 2 years ago, the Shepherd did discharge a firearm while being reckless as to the life of Savannah Rose Kulla Davies. He had also other firearm prohibitions dating back to 2006 and 2019. I don't fucking know. The Shepherd had in fact evaded police for a month after allegedly firing a gun in Kulla's home before being arrested by Waterloo police. And yet he was out on bail a short time later, and his trial for those charges wasn't scheduled to take place until next year. So in 2026. Releasing repeat violent offenders on bail is absolute negligence. They failed Savannah. They should have kept him out. They should have kept him out from the streets. They should have kept him inside. There are numerous reasons that the unaliver should have been in custody. It's just if one of them was adhered to, Savannah would be alive today. 100%. They failed Savannah. They need to make changes when it comes to this. You know, I don't give a fuck if your jail is full of people. Cram them in there like fucking sardines. I don't care. They should not be out on the street. 100%. They had no dignity for other people's lives. Why should we give them dignity, right? Okay, so when someone has a documented history of violence, firearms offenses, and intimate partner abuse, releasing them on bail is not justice, it's absolute negligence. Yes. Brown. I don't know who Brown is. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown. Okay, he's the Brampton Mayor, Patrick Brown. And he spoke during an October 23rd news conference on bail reform of the recent murder of Savannah Kulla. He goes on to say, and yes, it was more than 2 years since the event in 2023, which he was last charged with firearms charges. Clearly, his release posed a significant risk to Savannah and potentially others in our community, the superintendent said. And then on Wednesday, Karen Kulla, Savannah's mother, told CTV News that he was obsessed with Savannah. Anthony was obsessed with Savannah, and he's been stalking and harassing her. And then on Tuesday, she was just going to let him see the little girl, his daughter, for a couple of hours, or whatever the case is, not sure, but she was going to let him see his daughter. She was in love with him. It was love at first sight, apparently. He was great for the first while, and while she was pregnant, and then afterwards, he got worse and worse and worse, Karen says. Allegedly that he'd been stalking and harassing her youngest child, Savannah. He was just phoning her 50, 60, 70 times a day, you know. He had cameras installed, and we didn't know. He installed them to keep an eye out on her. Karen said her daughter tried to get away from the accused. She'd go see him and say, "Oh, this is over." And that's what she did on the weekend. I guess he didn't want to take that very well, and this is the result of that. This is just so sad. And I'm reading a news article, if you haven't figured it out. But okay, so the good news on this is that while Brampton's mayor and police say they believe the federal government's proposed bill on bail and sentencing reform is a step in the right direction, their optimism is cautious. I hope that this legislation is passed swiftly, that there are no delays or procedural gains. This legislation needs to be passed not just today, but frankly yesterday, Brown said. It's going to take some time for us to understand whether they are going to have the impact that we all hope it will, and that will actually help those who represent the most vulnerable in our community. If they can pass a bill that helps the whole domestic abuse situation and whatnot, and they keep these people in jail until their trials or whatever the case is, they need to do this. Again, pack them in there like fucking sardines. I don't care. Nobody cares. Everybody wants justice for their loved ones who have passed from femicide, anything, any unaliving whatsoever. They need to make a different approach to this, and I hope it passes, and I hope it happens quick, and I hope it helps a lot more. Fuck, it really sucks. And you know what? All day her TikToks have been popping up on my freaking For You page. And I'm just so sad. I'm really just so sad. I totally empathize with the children and the mother and the family and all the other, the children's parents, the children's dads. Not the one that took her life, obviously. But I do feel for the little girl who no longer has any parent. I don't know who's taking care of her. I can just pray and hope that she's in good hands. I'm sure she is. I'm sure I hope she's not on the Shepherd side of the family. I hope she's on the Kulla side. None of my business, honestly. It's none of any of our business. But the strength that they need right now is really important. So just everybody, just send your prayers and send your thoughts and your kind words and justice for Savannah. Justice for Savannah. Yes, justice kind of has been served because he is no longer on this earth. And so he got his instant karma. But now we have children that have no mom, and that they deserve justice for their mom for that. And I hope that only good comes out of it, out of this, change the laws, change whatever you need to do to keep these offenders off the streets, especially repeat offenders. What the actual fuck? Do better. Just do better.